Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Dana Andrews, starring in Jed Peeler's favorite radio program, I Was a Communist for the FBI. This episode broadcast originally on May 6, 1953, and this episode entitled The Un-American Activity.
I was a communist for the FBI.
Starring Dana Andrews in an exciting tale of danger and espionage. I was a communist for the FBI. Many of the incidents in the story you are about to hear are based on the actual records and authentic experiences of Matt Savetic, who for 9 fantastic years lived as a communist for the FBI. Here is our star, Dana Andrews, as Matt Savetic.
For 9 years, I lived on the brink of a volcano called communism. A volcano which is centered in Soviet Russia, but which is erupting all over the world. Through fissures in the social structure, the lava of communism has eaten its way until it has engulfed whole countries and subcontinents, burying freedom and the dignity of men as deep as Vesuvius buried Pompeii. That's the future the communists plan for free men everywhere, mister. So take warning from my story. It's the story of communism.
Now, here is Dana Andrews as Matt Savetic, Undercover Man. This story from the confidential file is marked An Un-American Activity.
When the Politburo of the American Communist Party ordered my district leader to report to them in New York, I was instructed to take over his duties. That was a week ago, and I've heard nothing more from either the Politburo or my district leader. I don't like it, because the closer you get to the top of the Red Organization, the closer you're watched. And I know there's always a chance that I'd make a slip that could be fatal. I'm in my room, assembling some new special study party literature and extracting copies for the FBI, when my phone rings. Hello?
I'm calling from number 4.
Yeah?
You're wanted here immediately.
Well, I'm putting together some packages at the moment. I'll be over in an hour.
A car will be calling for you immediately. Don't keep the driver waiting.
But look, I've got to... No. I don't like that kind of phone call. It may mean nothing at all. Then again, when you're a communist for the FBI, it may mean something very important. Number 4 is a red meeting place used only in party emergencies, and this, obviously, is an emergency. I put back the copies of red literature that I'd held out for the FBI, just in case my room is searched while I'm gone, and go out to wait for the car that's to call for me. But there's no waiting. The car's at the curb when I walk out of the building. The driver swings open the door. As I walk up to the car, he says,
You Savetic?
Yes?
Get in.
What's up?
We're late. Hang on.
Hey, what's the big rush about?
Just take orders, comrade. My orders are to bring you to number 4, right now. This is number 4.
I've been here.
Well, get out. They're waiting for you. And I have another job to do.
Thanks. You're certainly never going to get into trouble for talking too much.
All of our comrades had that driver's discretion. This meeting would not be necessary.
I don't believe I've ever seen you before.
Possibly not, but you'll know me well before the matter is finished. I'll get inside quickly, comrade. The enemy may have spies watching this place. go right up those stairs, Comrade Svedik.
I know the way.
Well?
Before I take any more orders, I want to know who's giving them.
You can call me Comrade Walters. I'm a member of the party security committee. Now, please walk up the stairs. There are others waiting for us.
As we climb the long, dimly lit flight of stairs that rises to the party's dingy office, the fear that never leaves me rises too. There's a red security officer at my back, and I don't know what's ahead. Then we reach the top of the stairs, and I open the office door.
Quiet. Now that Comrade Svedik has arrived, we'll get down to business. I've been sent here to warn you and to help direct your fight against one of communism's worst enemies. The Washington Committee is preparing to subject this area to one of its degrading public circuses. One of our comrades has secured a list of those who will be subpoenaed, including the names of those rats who've actually volunteered to serve the persecution as friendly witnesses. This meeting is to determine what action we should take against these swine.
The Reds' reaction to Comrade Volter's announcement is so violent that I wish every fellow traveler and parlor pink in the country could hear it. They hate the committee, of course, but their hatred for friendly witnesses is much deeper. They'd like to give them the sort of red justice that has purged thousands of innocents in the communist homeland and its satellites.
We ought to give them a trial, then hang them.
Well, the thought is admirable, comrade, but not practical.
We could beat them until they were afraid to talk to the committee.
The next suggestion was for a series of accidents to befall the deserting comrades. A speeding car on a dark night, a fall from a high building, all the impossible-to-prove murder methods that have ever been used before. It was an idea that appealed to this group of scared and frustrated Reds, and I knew I had to sidetrack them right then. I'm no hero, and I didn't want to buck that mob. But some of the friendly witnesses are people who've made a mistake, and they want to correct it. People on our side now who've seen the Red side, and they don't like it. It was my job to protect those people, no matter how scared I was. So I stepped up and opened my big mouth. Comrade Volters! Comrade Volters.
Yes, Comrade Svedik?
I'd like the floor for a minute.
You have it?
Okay. In the first place, I want all the comrades to know that I hate these rats who are willing to become friendly witnesses. However, any action against these people before they testify would reveal that we have a source of information close to the committee.
Quiet. Just what would you do about these traitors, Comrade Svedik?
Well, before the subpoenas are issued, I'd talk to them.
How do you talk to a rat?
Some of us would remind them of the party's purposes. Others would talk about a member's obligations.
And if that fails, Comrade?
If that fails, Comrade Volters, after the subpoenas are issued, is time enough for coercion.
But still no violence?
No. The threat of violence is enough if it's accompanied by a smear campaign and phone calls every 15 minutes, day and night. Besides, right now, we should spend our time and energy preparing our campaign against the real enemy, the committee.
Do you have any suggestions concerning that, Comrade Svedik?
Yes, if you'd like to hear them.
We would.
Yes.
My suggestion is to organize every group in the city in which any of our comrades are members into public opposition to the committee and its persecution.
You mean labor unions, industrial councils, business organizations, and so forth?
Yes, with paid ads in all the papers denouncing the committee and its unconstitutional violation of the Bill of Rights.
You're talking like an idiot.
I'm talking as acting district leader, and I'm telling you how to organize public opinion against the committee. Force them to stop their vicious harassment of party members.
Now, Svedik, you know that we don't have enough party members in any labor union, any industrial council, any organization in this city to force any one of those groups to pay for ads attacking the committee.
Don't be naive, Comrade Volters. These organizations won't know anything about the ads they're supposed to be sponsoring until they've read them in the papers. We'll place the ads, and we'll pay for them.
The organizations will disclaim them.
It won't do any good, because the ads will be signed by comrades as members of the various organizations.
Individuals.
Obviously. And like most people, Comrade Volters, you don't read the small "and up" in advertisements. Our ads will be signed by, say, Matthew Savetic for the Independent Workers Association.
Oh, no, that won't mean a thing, Svedik.
It will to the casual reader, And particularly when the Matthew Savetic is in normal-sized type, the Independent Workers Association in type 4 times that size, and the For Thee so small it can hardly be read. With the Red's enthusiastic acceptance of my plan for attacking the committee, I was also able to wangle an agreement to try my suggestion for dealing with the friendly witnesses. Then the meeting broke up, and I hurried to make my report to the FBI.
This is important and startling news, Matt. The Washington Bureau is going to be greatly disturbed at learning that the commies have a pipeline from the committee.
What about the friendly witnesses?
We can't do a thing for them officially at this time without taking a chance in exposing you. We're not supposed to know that the Reds have a list of those being subpoenaed.
But these particular people are genuinely on our side now. They're trying to help us. We have to protect them.
I don't mean to sound heartless, Matt, but there are bound to be casualties in any war, even a Cold War. Until the subpoenas are issued, any protection these people get will have to be given obliquely by you.
I see.
Don't take any unnecessary chances, Matt. From what you've told me, it's obvious that the Reds are frightened. And frightened men are always the most dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, if Washington wants any more details, we'll contact you. Good luck, Matt. Strictly unofficially, I wish you hadn't stuck your neck out quite so far.
During the next few days, I was on quite a merry-go-round, organizing the Reds' campaign against the committee, and at the same time planting evidence that I hoped the FBI could use to frustrate the campaign. I almost forgot the problem of the friendly witnesses. Then the subpoenas were issued, and Comrade Wolters paid me a visit.
The hierarchy is quite unhappy with you, Comrade Svetic.
What do you mean?
About the handling of the friendly witnesses. Although in my reports I've stressed the seeming excellence of your proposed campaign against the committee, I've been forced also to report the failure of your plan for handling our traitors. Mere talking to them has done nothing to change their minds.
Then our comrades can't have done a very good job of talking.
You think you could do better?
Certainly. If I hadn't been so busy with this other matter...
In that case, forget the other matter for a day or two.
Yeah?
Yes. And you talk with these white-livered weaklings. Show them the error of their ways.
Okay.
And be your most persuasive, comrade. If your plan fails, the responsibility will be yours alone. And the group deciding your punishment may not include a Comrade Svetic to sidetrack their violence.
The responsibility will be yours alone. Wolters is right. No matter what happens, the responsibility is mine alone. If the friendly witnesses wilt under pressure, I'll feel responsible to the American people. If they don't wilt, if they testify against the communists, I'll be the guy held responsible. I'll be the guy who pays.
May 6, 1953, I was a communist for the FBI on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Hi, this is Kyle Horvath with the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board. If you want to get away from the big cities and get back to nature this summer, give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net. There's so much to do and see I can't mention it in 30 seconds, but check out our website and you'll see what Nevada is really all about. elinevada.net or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of I Was a Communist for the FBI, May 6, 1953.
Now back to Dana Andrews, starring as Matt Cvetic in I Was a Communist for the FBI, and the second act of our story.
Or else, there's no other interpretation of Comrade Volter's orders for me to talk to the deserting comrades and dissuade them from appearing before the committee as friendly witnesses. As soon as I feel it's safe to leave, I go out to a phone booth and call the FBI.
Hello, Warren speaking.
I'm calling from a phone booth.
I recognize your voice. Go ahead.
Now that the subpoenas have been served, the heat is on.
On you?
Yes, and I'm supposed to transfer it to our friends.
We can help now.
How?
By giving our friends a little vacation before you reach them.
I'm supposed to get to them immediately.
Give us half an hour before you try to see any of them. Then go through the list of friends alphabetically. We can't prove anything against you if you can't find anyone to talk to.
I hope that's the right answer.
It has to be. We can't take a chance on one of the witnesses identifying you as the goon who put the heat on them.
Okay. Anything more?
Yeah. One of our men spotted a couple of security committee goons getting off a plane about 20 minutes ago. Watch your step.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. I wait a half an hour before trying to reach the first of the friendly witnesses Volters has ordered me to pressure. But my FBI contact has made good on his promise. When I return to Comrade Volters at number 4, I'm forced to report that all of those party traitors have been taken into protective custody.
I don't envy you your position, Comrade Cvetic. It was you who persuaded the group to delay punishing these rats.
Yes, but to protect the party.
Protecting the party is the business of the Security Committee.
I'll explain the situation to the Security Committee if they want to talk to me.
They do. In fact, 2 of the comrades arrived in town just a short time ago. For your sake, I hope your campaign against the committee is more successful than your suggestion for handling rats.
For the next few days, we're all too busy making last-minute preparations for the committee hearings for Volters or his 2 goons to give me any trouble. They're hanging around, of course, but the local comrades, swallowing their own propaganda, are so confident of chasing the committee right out of town that the goons adopt an attitude of wait and see. The night before the first day of the hearing, the entire group meets at number 4 for a final report and briefing.
Quiet, please. Tomorrow, comrades, in the hearing room of the Washington Committee, we will fight the battle for freedom. Tonight and tomorrow morning, every newspaper in the city will carry pages of ads denouncing the committee and its flagrant violations of the Bill of Rights. Outside the building, protesting working men and women will picket the hearings.
Comrade Volters!
Yes, Comrade Mercer.
I'd like to make certain that all comrades who've been designated to picket as working mothers make arrangements to borrow their babies for the duration of the hearings.
Very good.
Comrade Volters,
Comrade Ryan.
I would like to remind the war veteran who is under subpoena to wear his combat medals to the hearings and to throw them at the committee's feet when he's called upon to testify.
The Reds' attitude has done a complete about-face since the night of the first meeting in number 4. Then they were frightened and frustrated. But tonight, they're ready to man the barricades, behind the protection of the Fifth Amendment, of course. One misguided idealist even goes so far as to compare this meeting with those held in 1776. And as the comrades grow more exuberant, I grow more depressed. As soon as I can, I get away to phone the FBI and make my last report before the hearings. But I don't have to make the call. I'm waiting at a street corner for the light to change when a car pulls up beside me. And my FBI contact says...
Get in quick, Matt. Okay, Matt. We ought to be safe now. Let's have the final rundown.
That doesn't look good.
For our side or for you?
For either.
Well, let's have it.
The Reds are really organized this time. Everything from babes in arms among the pickets to veterans with war medals among the witnesses.
What's their attitude?
Confident. Those scheduled to appear before the committee tomorrow are going through last-minute rehearsals with their lawyers. The picket chairmen are making a final check of their groups. Wolters and the goon squad are still at number 4.
Are they anticipating any violence?
Haven't heard of it if they are. Say, drive me back near number 4 and drop me.
Okay, why?
I want to have a talk with Wolters about violence. I have an idea that may save my neck.
I'm glad you came back, Comrade Svedek. I was just discussing you with Comrades Mercer and Ryan.
A thought came to me while I was on my way home that seemed so important that I came right back.
You're full of thoughts and ideas, aren't you, comrade?
Well, I try to give the party the benefit of any idea I may have, Comrade Mercer.
Such as don't use violence against rats.
Yes. I still feel that any violence would have engendered serious reactions against the party.
What was this new great thought of yours?
I wanted to warn you against any violence on the picket lines tomorrow.
We weren't anticipating any. What made you think of it?
Well, nothing really. It just occurred to me that reactionary members of some of the unions or industrial councils whose names we're using in tomorrow's ads might come to the hearings and try to stir up trouble.
Oh, I see. And you want to urge us against using violence?
I'll go further than that. As acting district leader, I absolutely forbid it.
What? You are forbidding me to use my own judgment?
The party cannot...
The party is no place for anyone with a yellow streak up his back, Comrade Svedek. If anyone gives us trouble tomorrow, we're going to fight back. Maybe if we crack a few heads, we'll make some red-blooded converts.
So who is Matt Svedek calling? I guess we'll find out in a few moments. May 6th, 1953, Dana Andrews in I Was a Communist for the FBI. We'll hear the conclusion after these important messages when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues on your favorite station.
Radio? Why should I advertise on radio? There's nothing to look at, no pictures.
Listen, you can do things on radio you couldn't possibly do on TV.
That'll be the day.
All right, watch this. Okay, people, and now when I give you the cue, I want the 700-foot mountain of whipped cream to roll into Lake Michigan, which has been drained and filled with hot chocolate. Then the Royal Canadian Air Force will fly overhead towing a 10-ton maraschino cherry, which will be dropped into the whipped cream to the cheering of 25,000 extras. All right, cue the mountain. Force. Cue the maraschino cherry. Okay, 25,000 cheering extras.
Now, you want to try that on television?
Well...
You see, radio is a very special medium because it stretches the imagination.
Doesn't television stretch the imagination?
Up to 27 inches, yes.
She was born in a humble shack amidst the lemon groves of Goleta, California.
Mommy, don't cry. You know what they say? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I was gonna say life sucks, and then you die. But I like yours better.
And with that, Alexandra Johnson launched her lemonade stand.
Lemonade, nickel a glass.
Every day, even during the frigid California winters, a bone-chilling 72 degrees, you could find her.
You can have it sour, you can have it sweet. Little girl's lemonade will knock you off your feet.
The little girl with the sour brew wanted more, national distribution, franchises, and so she rolled out a well-budgeted advertising campaign.
Me and the rest of the dockwakers only drink little girl lemonade.
She was made president of the International Sour Drink Association and chosen to give the keynote speech at their convention.
You all set with words of wisdom, honey? You know what they say, Mommy. Always advertise so consumers think of your product first. I was gonna say never swallow a lemon seed or a watermelon on your tummy.
This fabricated but interesting story is to remind you that it's called advertising and it works.
Put your message on this national advertising platform by emailing classicradiotheater@gmail.com. classicradiotheater@gmail.com. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of I Was a Communist for the FBI, May 6th, 1953.
Hello?
Is this Jake Martin, head of the labor division of the Steel Industry Council?
Yeah, that's me.
I just called to tell you that there's an ad in tomorrow morning's paper which gives the impression that the Steel Industry Council is supporting the communists in their attacks on the committee.
There's a what?
There are other ads purporting to show that many of the labor unions are also behind the Reds in their fight against the committee.
Trying to tie labor into their filthy work, huh? Do you know where we can find these people who are responsible?
Well, Mr. Martin, a lot of them will be picketing the Chambers building. That's where the committee is holding its hearings. The next morning, the comrades are jubilant. Living on a strict diet of propaganda, they're the world's greatest suckers for the printed lie. They've all read the ads in the papers, and even though they know how the ads were inserted, they've kidded themselves into believing that the city's entire populace is rising behind them to drive the committee into hiding. Up in the committee room, the friendly witnesses are giving damning evidence against the party and various party members. But down on the street, the pickets are proudly carrying their signs, too blinded to realize that the expression in the eyes of the average passing American is a mixture of growing hatred and contempt. I'm standing off at one side watching the scene when I see a group of shirt-sleeved working men approach, led by a man I know as Jake Martin, the Steel Industry Council's labor leader. I walk over to where, hidden from the Reds, I can be handy when Jake wants to ask a question. My timing is good.
Who's running this Red Parade?
I don't know for sure, but they seem to be taking orders from that big fellow over there, by the statue.
The one with the two thugs standing in back of him?
Yeah, that's the man. I think they call him Comrade Volters.
Comrade, huh? Come on, boys. We'll teach these skunks to use the name of labor for their dirty propaganda. You boys bust up the picket line, but leave that Comrade Volters to me. Now, let's go! Let's go!
As soon as the two lines crash into each other, the police move in, and I get out of the area. There aren't many comrades present at number 4 that night, and of those who are there, I'm the only one without a bandage, which doesn't please Comrade Volters at all.
Where were you when the fighting was going on, Comrade Svedik?
Phoning headquarters in New York.
Phoning?
To report that despite my warnings, despite my absolute order, you had deliberately engaged in street fighting.
You reported that?
Direct to headquarters.
Oh, you sniv... I'll teach you to run to headquarters.
Sit down before I knock you down. It won't hurt the party any if I get violent with you.
Now listen.
You listen.
Now look. I didn't start anything. First I knew about a street fight was when that guy came up and hung one of my jaw.
You threatened to use violence last night, Comrade Volters. I reported that, too, together with the fact that you've played right into the hands of the committee, giving them valuable propaganda to use against the party.
Well,
You're to report to the Central Committee in New York tomorrow morning.
No, I'm not going back. It'd be suicide.
I wouldn't be surprised, comrade. It's a pity, too. It's such an un-American activity.
Why didn't you tell me what you had in mind when you asked me to drive you back near number 4, Matt?
I was afraid the Bureau couldn't endorse the instigation of a street fight. I didn't see any other way to save my neck.
Well, you were right on both counts. Incidentally, the Washington office picked up the rat who was passing along information he filched from the committee's files.
Was he working for the committee?
No. His girlfriend was a secretary in the committee office. She was transferred, though she had no idea he was a communist. They're not going together anymore.
What you mean? I had a girl once, but not anymore. I guess that's part of being a communist for the FBI. The committee and Comrade Volters have left our city, but the scars they left on the party will be a long time in healing. Because I was right and Volters was wrong, the local comrades are working overtime and trying to make me forget that they were against me. I have a lot of invitations these days, but I'm not accepting any. The people I'd like to be with, plain, average, everyday Americans, want no part of me. And I want no part of the Reds, except as a communist for the FBI. So, I choose to walk alone. This is Dana Andrews. The struggle between freedom and communism affects your life every day, directly or indirectly, through battle tolls or taxes. It's a struggle you can't afford to lose. Although to protect innocent persons, the names, dates, and places are fictitious, the danger they warn against is very real. Next week, we'll bring you another strange adventure based on the fantastic experiences of Matt Savetic. Join us, won't you?
May 6, 1953, I Was a Communist for the FBI on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
It's a big, bold story set in the heartland of America, along the edge of Lonely Mountain. I am open for business. And so Big William Gorgon, played by handsome Michael James, fiercely set down his Midwest roots.
Oh, darling, we're going to sell bathrobes and raise chickens.
Set his adoring wife, Wilhelmina, portrayed by beautiful Glenda Olsen.
Oh, I love our store, Will.
But they hadn't counted on Big Ralph's bathrobes and cattle store coming to town.
Oh, Will, what will we do, Will?
Will had a plan, a way of facing off against tough Big Ralph. We're going to change the face of America. We're going to advertise.
For what?
With print, broadcasting, and bus benches, we're going to tell people who we are and where we are.
What's a bus?
And so the story of how one man brought advertising to the heartland.
Oh, will it work?
It will. Well, my name ain't Will, Wilhelmina. You got to advertise or we'll die. And so the greatest marketing story of all time is here. Advertise or die, dopey.
Put your message on this national advertising platform. Email classicradiotheater@gmail.com. classicradiotheater@gmail.com. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of the soap opera Claudia, May 6th, 1948.
And now, Claudia.
Dum dum da da dum. La 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 la.
Here I come with a big stack of dinner dishes, Claudia.
It can't be, David. They're all in the sink, practically.
Now where'll I put them?
Oh, we'll just put them on the kitchen table, please, till I finish washing these. And don't break any, do you hear?
Break them? Have I ever broken a dish in my life?
Certainly have. Don't hand me that.
As Madam wishes, I will put them here. Now, do you think the kitchen table can withstand the load,
The load. 2 cups, 2 saucers,
I'll
2 little spoons.
do my best to make it work, Madame. The other ladies who employed me were quite satisfied, I trust.
Oh, poor fool.
Poor fool.
Say, listen, David, all joking aside, why? When we've been getting along without a maid all this time, why does it seem so much worse now?
Because now that we know we can't have one, now's the time we really want one.
Oh.
That, Claudia, that, my dear girl, is psychology.
Oh, that's what that is.
That's what that is.
I see.
Maybe if we'd used a little psychology on Emma when she came up here to look at the place,
Don't
why, we
mention
wouldn't
her
have...
name. Anyway, it wouldn't have done a bit of good.
How do you know?
You know, since she turned us down, the employment agency won't even send us any more candidates from New York.
Why, the audacity of the employment agency.
They have crossed us off their list.
They didn't cross us off their list. They crossed off the animals.
Oh, poor Shakespeare. You see, you've hurt his feelings.
He frightens
Definitely
maids.
antisocial, aren't you, Pet?
A veritable public enemy.
I have no sympathy for people who are afraid of pets, especially pets like cats and dogs.
People can't always help it.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a disease.
Oh, I don't believe it. People like that are just abnormal.
I see. So, in the future, we won't allow any maids afraid of cats and dogs to be our maid, all right?
That's just it. And by not doing so, we've saved ourselves a whole week's wages.
A whole week?
Aren't we smart?
That makes us rich.
Yes.
Have any ideas of what we'll do with all that money?
Well, let's see. Can we buy another Great Dane with it?
Fine. That's it. That'll make it that much cozier to get another maid.
Exactly. That's just the way I figured it out. Say, you know, I don't even know where to look for one. There isn't any employment agency up here.
Well, you could look under some baskets and boxes.
Oh, yes, they're under the sink.
Too bad
Down the
they
cellar.
don't handle maids at the grocery store, you know.
Oh, well, maybe something will turn up.
Something will turn up. I think something just turned up then. What was that?
Oh, nothing, just the pipes, darling. Don't get nervous.
Pipes. I never noticed them doing that before.
Neither did I. What's all the fuss?
Fuss? I'm not fussing.
Pipes sound as if they're running away.
Like they've gone. I don't like it.
They've just broken into a trot.
Hey, look over there. Is the water still running?
Look, it's coming out in spurts.
This is all very ominous.
Oh, it's nothing, David. They just like to make a little noise. They like to.
Mm-hmm.
Pipes do it all the time. That's the way they have fun.
I see.
Yeah.
The pipe I smoke doesn't do it. They do it all the time when something isn't going right, if you take my word for it.
It'll probably stop in a minute. What could possibly be wrong?
How would I know what's wrong? I'm an architect, not a plumber.
A little noise, David. It doesn't mean anything, probably. It even used to happen in New York.
Well, I think I'd better go down in the cellar and investigate this mystery.
If you are an architect and not a plumber, I don't see what good your investigating is going to do.
Darling, even an architect can see if the cellar is flooded.
The cellar could be flooded?
Mm-hmm.
Well, David, why didn't you say so? What are you just standing
I didn't
there
say
for?
it is flooded. I merely suggested that
David,
it might
this
be.
is serious. Our clean wash is down there.
Well, it doesn't cost us a cent to open the cellar door and look.
Hurry up. The wash will get wet. You going to turn on the light?
Oh, wait a minute. Quiet a minute.
What do you hear?
I was just listening to hear if the pump's still going.
Well, is it?
Well, be still. No. Can't hear it.
Good or bad, you can't hear it.
Medium.
Well, turn on the light and see if it's flooded. How about it? What do you see?
No.
No, what?
It isn't flooded.
Well, what is it?
I don't know.
Do you see anything? How's my wash?
Your wash? Wait a minute, I'll look.
Is it dry?
No, the wash isn't flooded either.
Oh, good. Well, listen, darling, be careful. Don't... Oh, dear. Well, it can't be anything serious if the wash isn't wet and if the floor isn't
Can't be
flooded.
serious, sir.
It wouldn't be fair anyway, on top of not being able to get a maid. This house wouldn't do something like that to us. Would it?
Are you kidding?
Certainly not kidding. See, listen.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't nearly as bad as it was before. I think it's going away.
I thought it sounded worse.
David,
Now what?
the water has stopped altogether.
Are you sure it's turned on? Well, that settles it.
Where are you going?
To telephone the plumber.
Wait for me.
Can a man even call the plumber by himself anymore? Hello, Mr. Maxwell? Mr. Maxwell? Hello, this is David Naughton on River Road. Yes, River Road. How are you? Well, I'm fine. Oh, yes, that's fine. Say, Mr. Maxwell. Yes, well, Mr. Maxwell, we're having a little trouble here tonight.
Say, David.
Shh, Claudia, I can't hear him. Yes, Mr. Maxwell?
Shakespeare, now what do you want? Oh, I'd better go back to the kitchen and see what he wants. You don't need me, do you, David?
Shh. Well, first the pipe started to make a lot of noise and banging and...
David, never mind. The water's running again.
Well, yes, Mr. Maxwell.
David, you hear me? The water's running again.
Well, I looked at that.
Oh, it stopped.
Well, that's fine, Mr. Maxwell. All right, Mr. Maxwell.
What's he saying now?
All right, Mr. Maxwell, I'll try that. That sounds like a good idea.
What sounds like a good idea?
Very good, Mr. Maxwell. We'll do that right away. Thank you very much.
David, what does he say is the matter?
He said he didn't know.
He took all that time to say he didn't know?
And he also said he'd come right over.
In the middle of the evening?
Mm-hmm.
Really? In the country, plumbers are just like doctors, aren't they?
He also told me a lot of things that might be causing the trouble.
What were they?
Well, the worst of them is a broken pipe.
Broken pipe? Where? When?
Now, where would you like it to be?
Well...
Maybe even in the attic.
No, I
or
wouldn't
where
like
the
that.
water tank is.
Oh, that's worse.
Have you a choice, madam? How about the attic?
Oh, no. Water dripping down on everything else in the house. We better go right up and see.
Hey, come back here. Now, don't run upstairs like that.
I'm not running.
I'd like to know what you call it.
David, it might be leaking into our closet.
Well, is it?
No. Maybe nothing's broken after all.
You haven't looked yet.
I don't have to look. Wouldn't I just see the water lying on the floor?
Well, it shouldn't be so deep so fast.
So what's so wet?
Don't you hear something dripping?
I think so.
Be still.
Oh, David, over there. Oh, dear.
Over where? Uh-oh, here it is.
Oh, where's the rag? Quick, we better mop it off. No, not that one. That's my best tablecloth.
Here, how about this?
Oh, yeah, all right. That's right. Give it to me.
There.
What are we going to do?
Well, the rag won't do any good.
Well...
Here, I'll get a bucket and put the bucket down into here. And then we'll sit and wait for the plumber. No? Nope. Nope. Trouble at the elbow. Nope. Try it again.
And it's all fixed, Mr. Maxwell?
All fixed, Miss Norton. Not a thing to it. Just the neatest little hole you ever did see.
All that noise for one little hole?
Whenever you hear those old pipes banging, you can be pretty sure something's the way it oughtn't to be. Maybe serious.
Well, we're very grateful you came over this late, Mr. Mac.
Grateful ain't the word for it, Mr. Norton. You folks are lucky. I was just leaving the house when you called.
Oh, weren't we lucky? Why, it would have gone right through the floor if you hadn't got here right away.
'Twould have taken me 4 days to get here if you hadn't caught me.
4 days?
Uh-huh. I'm leaving on a fishing trip upstate. Leaving right from your door.
Must be pretty good fishing upstate, isn't it, Mr. Mac?
Sure is.
My husband's partner's coming up tomorrow. They're going fishing here.
That's right.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Have to go together sometime, Mr. Norton.
Love to.
Well, I guess you won't have no more trouble for a while, and I'll be saying good night.
Well, good night, and many thanks.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Maxwell.
Good night, Miss Norton. Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Well, maybe this is a little bit nosy of me.
Oh, no, it isn't. What is it?
I was just wondering if you do all your own housework, Miss Norton.
Yes, I do.
I didn't see anybody else around, so I kind of thought you did.
Well, she does, I'm afraid.
I don't mean to be intruding any, but I thought maybe you could use some help. My sister-in-law, my brother's dead 2 years, is a right good cook, and she sure is handy around the house. She's looking around.
You mean your sister-in-law would consider working for us?
I didn't mean to be intruding exactly, but if you could use somebody, not this week yet, but beginning the week after. She's a mighty fine cook, and how she does the wash. Looks like mountain snow, my brother used to say.
You mean she does the laundry, too?
I can't read a mind on Miss Norton, so I ain't exactly sure she'd work for you, but I'd say it's a pretty good bet she would.
Well, it's almost worth having leaky pipes to hear you say that, Mr. Max.
Well, sir, I didn't mean to be intruding none.
Oh, you haven't been.
Glad to help. Tell you what. When I get back from my fishing, I'll call you folks up and bring my sister-in-law around.
Fine.
Her name's Gert. Well, night, folks.
Mr. Maxwell, you've been marvelous. Hasn't he, David?
He fixed up all of our domestic problems in one visit.
Pipes ought to be fine now. Everything's working just right, so I can go fishing with an easy conscience.
Oh, I'm sure you'll catch lots more fish that way.
Hope so. Good night.
Good night. David, isn't it wonderful?
We're a couple of pretty lucky people. I hope you appreciate it.
I do appreciate it.
When other people's pipes burst, that means trouble.
When ours burst, it's a bonanza. Is that the word I meant?
It'll do.
Come on, darling, let's start washing the dishes. I knew Gertrude won't be here for a week. David, did you hear something?
Me? No, I didn't hear anything.
Oh.
But I think I'll just start to hum a little if you don't mind.
When pipes bang, it may mean real trouble. Isn't that what Mr. Maxwell said before leaving for 4 days?
Oh, I still can't hear a thing, darling.
You're right. I can't hear anything either. Dum 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 dum. La 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 la.
Shopping and marketing may irritate you, but they have to be done regularly. Next time you're looking for a blue suit and they have nothing but brown, next time you have to wait in line at the grocer's, tell you what to do. Pause and refresh at the familiar red cooler. Coca-Cola coolers can be found in so many places nowadays, and you'll find it's far pleasanter to shop refresh.
Oh, Mr. King, if ever you need a plumber, let me know. How about it, eh?
Mr. Maxwell, seems to me you're a better maid-getter than you are a plumber.
Well, if you ever need a maid, let me know. How about it, eh?
Oh, that I will.
Fine. So long.
Oh, wait a minute. You're in quite a hurry there, aren't you?
Certainly am. I'm off on a fishing trip.
Oh, so you said. You know, Mr. Norton's going trout fishing tomorrow.
I sure do wish him a good catch. There's nothing like a day in a trout stream.
So David will find out tomorrow. Well, I won't keep you. Goodbye, Mr. Maxwell.
So long, fella.
May 6th, 1948, Claudia on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We thank you for making us a part of your day. Would you do me a favor and thank this radio station and support their advertisers? It is their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. Also, if you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. You can hear all of our shows on demand through iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, or Facebook. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And also at my webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me. classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.